Hi everybody, I'm going to do a couple of videos on point of care ultrasound. The first one will be just some examples of what the normal heart will look like. This first image, as you can probably see, those of you who have done a little bit of scanning, is a subcostal image. And this is a very well done subcostal image. We can see the left atrium, the right atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle, and a very nice interatrial septum. So that is ideally what you would like to see with the subcostal view. And we can see that that right ventricle is about a third of the size of the left ventricle, and the left atrium about half the size of the left ventricle, which is what the comparative sizing should be. This is the IVC, which you guys will get to image and find some information on volume status. Our next picture is a parasternal lung view, and again, very nicely done. We want the heart to be fairly horizontal, so you don't want the heart to be pointing this way, you want the heart to be pointing that way. This is not a view where we're really looking to see the apex. We really want to see this part of the heart where we have valves. And this is the anatomy that we want to look at here. We want to look at left atrium. We want to look at the aortic root. So you want to see that aorta nice and open. You will look at your aortic valve, the mitral valve, look at the morphology of both those valves, whether they're thickened, whether they're opening well. And this mitral valve opening can tell you one of two things. If it's decreased, either the valve is a little stuck with mitral stenosis, or you have a low flow state. So that mitral valve opening will tell you quite a few things. For the more advanced scanning guys, this is also where you will see SAM during systole. Instead of that leaflet coming down nicely, you will see it being sucked into the outflow tract, creating a dynamic outflow tract obstruction. This little structure at the bottom here is your descending aorta. Not usually something that we look at in POCUS, but sometimes a dissection can be seen there. This is a very nice short axis, and that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see a nice round heart. If it's elliptical, it means that you're not cutting perpendicular through the heart, and that means that your sizing will not be accurate. You want to see two papillary muscles that are about the same size. Again, that gives you the idea that you are cutting perpendicular. If you see valvular apparatus, you're probably too high in the heart, too close to the base, and you will not be able to give a solid mid-papillary assessment. But please remember that this will only give you an indication of what's going on at the mid-papillary level. You can still have an apical akinetic heart if you have a distal LAD lesion. So you cannot report normal left ventricular function, but just that it's normal at the mid-papillary level. This area is this is a very important image for us. We can tell a lot of things by how well the ventricle is contracting, how much it's coming in. So you want to look at this thickening coming in to see whether there's regional wall motion abnormality, just global function. We can look at volume status, so how much this ventricle is filling. So you look at diastole and whether the heart is nice and full. We can also get an idea of the systemic vascular resistance. A really decreased SVR, the ventricle will be more hyperdynamic, and the papillary muscles might even touch. The septum, if it's nice and round like this, it implies that the septum is functioning as part of the left ventricle, and is not excessively influenced by the right ventricular volume or pressure. When you get to something called a D-shaped septum, that will imply RV dominance, and RV pushing that septum into position, and we will look at that in another video. This is a very beautiful apical 4, a little bit right ventricular center. We do want to have a little bit more of that left apex in view. but you can see beautiful left atrium, right atrium, very nice tricuspid valve, nice thin pliable leaflets, but coapting well. Same on the mitral valve, nice thin coapting leaflets. And we can see this right ventricular base just moving very beautifully. So the right ventricle, I will do a different video on right ventricle, but just important to visualize the base as well as the free wall in terms of contractility. This is a more RV-centered view. You can see all the structures in the RV, and that's quite normal to see those bands. It's called the moderator band. This is a TAPSE. We will teach you how to do that. It's an M mode through the base of the right ventricle, so tricuspid annular plane systolic excursion, and that gives you a quantitative interpretation of how well the RV base is moving. You would take that point, which is probably here, measure that during systole and then again during diastole. So you use your ECG, systole and diastole. This is atrial contraction, so no diastole, and look at the difference between them. And for this person, it's probably going to be about 20 millimeters, so 16 millimeters is the normal there. And that's the end of the normal heart. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions? Come find one of the POCUS people.